Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV's live coverage of the Sim Racers Asia GT4 series. We join you for round 5 of the series from historic Silverstone, so we go back in time to the old bridge circuit from 2009. Weihan Chan joins me in the commentary booth tonight, and we've also got Scott Newton, who's going to be controlling the overlay and the cameras that you can see on your screens. So Weihan, thanks for joining me in the commentary box for this round of the Sim Racers Asia GT4 series, and how's it going?
Hey Dane, hey everyone. We've come to the midpoint of the season. This is the point where all the drivers are getting ultra competitive already as they have begun to rack up some points. And we are starting to see some of the championship battles starting to fight themselves out at this point. We have 23 drivers in the session tonight. It is comparatively less than what we had throughout the previous sessions, but nonetheless, still a good field and exciting race for us to look forward to today.
Yeah, definitely. The Nürburgring 24 hours obviously taking some of the drivers away from us, so we can try and get the championship standings up for you in just a moment's time. We can see that Leonardo in first position with 156 points, really dominating the series so far. We've got Wong in second place with 90 points, so he's got a good 66-point lead as Leonardo in first. And we've got Simon in third, Samuel in fourth, Ferris in fifth, Ahmed in sixth, Mohammed in seventh, Yanxi Ling in 8th, Ryan Lam in 9th, Jays Ring in 10th, Calix Boone in 11th, Thanaraj in 12th, Grant Crow in 13th, we've got Felipe in 14th, Noah Rafe in 15th, Tim in 16th, Casadus in 17th, and Seifel in 18th position. 42. The points on the right hand side, you can see there in the midfield, very close together. They're going to be having some good battles throughout the day, I'm sure.
Absolutely, it is a huge gap that Leonardo has managed to build himself ahead of everyone else. He has, of course, 156 points, and the next driver closest by would be 90 points. So that is a huge gap. Now, if we have a look at some of the race information for tonight, the weather settings, of course, it is 19 degrees Celsius air temperature, 24 degrees Celsius track temperature, which would kind of provide among the more optimal weather conditions for the race. 39% humidity, clear skies, and 14 kilometers per hour. 10 kilometers per hour winds. So I think it is quite an optimal condition for the drivers to race tonight.
Yeah, definitely with high winds at Silverstone Circuit. It's quite flat, so there's not much barrier for the winds. And as we can see, some of the drivers gridding up then for the race. Hopefully we can get the qualifying results on the screen. That caught me out a little bit. We've got a rolling start here in the Sim Racers Asia GT4 series. We can see the qualifying results here. Leonardo Oliveira in first position, as we've seen so often in this series so far. Ferris Stanley takes second position. Eric Wong in third. Ahmed Norazam in fourth. Ryan Lam in fifth. Kevin Wang in sixth. We've got Sanchez in seventh. Calix Boone in eighth position. Gandor in ninth. Wai in Leong in 10th position. Arifin in 11th. We've got Cassilis in 12th. Alessandro Dalladone in 13th position. Chang Tianchan in 14th. Andy So in 15th. Singh in 16th. We've got Aaron Mitt in 17th and Pratama in 18th position. And then we've got Stephen Bakard in 19th position, and the four drivers who didn't set a time: Mark Lang, we've got Hazim in 21st, Stinger in 22, and Stanley Lee in 23rd position. So you can see almost all of the drivers gridded up, and we'll take you for a pretty long pace lap around Silverstone. They're starting on the main grid. We've seen in a couple of the previous rounds at Suzuka and also in Snetterton, where the drivers have only had a couple of corners to warm up the tyres, but they're going to have a full lap to do it here.
Absolutely. Now, the fact that we are running, in fact, the older layout as opposed to the modern Grand Prix layout. Understanding this would be one of the home circuits from where you come from. How do you think of what do you think the kind of what do you think the kind of the style of racing a track like this would present in comparison to perhaps the more recent layout?
Well, this circuit's got its own challenges. Instead of the super fast first sector of turns 1 and 2 into the challenging loop section, you're heading through Abbey Corner, which is personally my favourite corner on the track. Oh, is it? Leonardo slightly keen to get away as the pace car goes towards Copse Corner, which is turn number 1 in this old layout. We're not on the new main straight. We're here at Copse Corner towards Maggotts and Beckett's. That's going to be the first lap, the first few corners of the lap, which is going to prove to be difficult, especially if some of the drivers have got some cold tyres. So only side by side through there is going to be interesting to see. You can cut the corners quite a lot to Maggotts and Beckett's on this layout with very lenient track limits. I'm just going to head them down towards Stowe Corner, unchanged, so is Club. That's what everyone's used to, but then the middle sector in this circuit is very different. You've got Abbey, then you got under the bridge towards Bridge Corner, and you end up right into Luffield, which is a much more challenging complex of corners in this layout than it is in the old one.
Absolutely, certainly challenging indeed. Of course, given this combination with GT4s at Silverstone, I think this would be one of the more popular car track combinations for everyone.
It's also a pretty wide circuit, Silverstone. You can see as we head down the hangar straight. It's a very wide circuit, promotes some good racing. Got some long straights. Well, this is the longest straight of them, and then also the national straight, as it's called, which is the start-finish straight on this layout of the circuit. As you can see, the drivers all weaving, trying to get some heat into those tires, almost pretty much single file. Most of the drivers trying to weave the full width of the circuit, trying to get all of the heat into their tires. Some of them trying to warm up their brakes as well, which is going to be very useful in towards the Club Corner for the first time. It's the first major braking zone of the circuit, which the drivers are heading into now. It's a very tight left-hander, so you can see they're coming now, but then it's much more rounded on exit than it is in the newer version. Some drivers flashing their lights, wanting to get on with the race.
You're just gonna have a bit of patience, as you know, with the safety car in the way. It does makes things a little bit slower. Now, of course, with this specific corner, the stewards have made the decision to kind of to penalize drivers if they decide to cut the inside of that corner. So that is going to be a decision that we might observe as the race progresses.
It'll be interesting to see for sure as we head through Abbey Corner. They're not going to turn right like they would on the newer layout. They're going to turn left. It's a very tricky left, straight into another right. It's a very good place for overtaking, that one is. And under the bridge, which is actually now public access. If you go and visit Silverstone on race day, you can usually walk along this section of the track, which I've done a couple of times. It's really interesting to see how you can just walk straight onto the track. It's really cool. And they're going to rejoin the newer layout, as we can see Luffield, and they're going to come around the final few corners. Normally this is the middle of the circuit, but not this time. The pace car is given a little bit of a gap by the Oliveira, and he's going to watch it swerve to the right, cut into the pit lane, and the field is under Oliveira's control, and he floors it down towards Copse Corner, and he's going to go green at Silverstone for 45 minutes of racing, and he's got a 4/10 gap to Stanley already. Stanley is closing in. We'll see if we get any spins into Copse Corner for the first time. It's a tricky braking zone with cold tyres. We see all of the drivers seem to get through pretty cleanly, which is fantastic to see. Oh, except for Gandor. Gandor's spin on the exit of Copse. Maybe just got onto the AstroTurf there. It's very slippery, but everyone else seems to get through in one piece. We've got a couple more drivers off track as well. You can see on the left-hand side of the timing tower, those coloured strips will turn red if someone goes off the circuit. But most of the 20 drivers make it through unscathed. Oliveira with almost a second of a gap as they come down the hangar straight for the first time. We've got another car off. That's Sanchez, who spun on the exit of Chapel. He's turned the wrong way, and he's going to drop back right down to 18th position. So we see Oliveira head into Stowe for the first time. Stanley and Wong still making side-by-side battles on the entry, but it looks like Stanley has managed to just hold off Wong for the time being. Might see a little bit of a dive in towards Club. We're not going to this time by. Next overtaking opportunity will be into Abbey, but it's a pretty clean race from all the drivers so far.
Yeah, absolutely is. Oliveira getting himself quite a good advantage ahead of everyone else. Wong going a little bit wider around the exit of that corner, but he still holds on to P3. He's coming under a lot of pressure from Ahmad Nurizam, who sits in P4. So we've yet to see a distinct kind of a multi-car battle, like a 4-3-way battle pack that we might see elsewhere. But we do have a look at what would possibly could have been Kevin Huang who's gone out to make that move on Calix. Now we make our way towards. I think this would perhaps be the new section, Prairie Corner. This is.
Yeah, they're going to come through Luffield now, and it's a fairly short lap here. It's only about 2 minutes. It's shorter than some of the other laps we've seen in the series so far. Road America probably being the longest one. It was a very long lap at Road America. Those bollards on the right-hand side of the little kink before the National Straight, that is a cut track warning sensor. So if you cut those too much, you're definitely going to get slowed down, and it's really unfortunate because you can gain a lot of time by doing that. And if drivers just nick them just a little bit, it's a slowdown, and that's the competitive race over. So you can see them heading through Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. You can see all of the AstroTurf and all of the alternative curving on the inside of the track. You can cut all of that, as he's taking a pretty conservative approach through there in the Eurasia Sim Sports car, not taking too many risks, just trying to hang back a little bit, stay in the draft zone, about 6/10 back. But Stanley's caught right up to the back of Oliveira. Maybe he's made a mistake because it's just under half a second of a gap at the front. So we can ride on board now with Ferris Stanley in towards Club Corner. You can see the gap has come down quite a lot. He's very close to the back of Oliveira's car as they come around the never-ending right-hander. You just want to floor it. You have to wait a little bit, and now we can go on the power. You can use all of the runoff on the left-hand side. The tarmac runoff, it's not going to give you an off-track for that one, which is helpful. But if you touch that grass, that is spin territory. You can see them coming through Abbey Corner for the second time, nearing the end of the lap. This corner here is flat out once the tyres are warmed up, and then once they wear down a bit, then you're going to have to start lifting a little bit. On the first few laps, you're going to have to brake through there. And they're heading through Luffield and Brooklands once again to complete the second lap of the race. The field spreading out just a little bit with some battles. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen the timing tower. A yellow battle indicates within a second, an orange is within half a second, and white is over a second gap between the driver and front. You can see lots of orange on the screen, which is good.
Stanley giving Oliveira a run for his money. As we are currently at the third lap of the race, this battle is going to ensue, or it has ensued for a lap, and it will continue to do so. Now these two drivers, they are forming their own breakaway from the rest of the field. And you will see in third place is Eric Wong. He is far back by 1.2 seconds. So this is now the new gap that kind of exists at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Stanley's going to want to get a good exit out of Chapel, and it looks like he has done. He's going to get all the slipstream in the world as they head down the hanger straight towards Stowe Corner. It's a tricky overtaking spot, but it is possible. But I don't think he's going to be close enough this time by. There's about 0.3 of a second between them as they come into the braking zone now. And it looks like he's got very close up to the back of Oliveira as they come out of the exit. And it's a tricky braking zone in towards Club, very bumpy. As you can see the cars bouncing around on the brakes. So they come around Club Corner once again. And he's not going to be close enough this time by to make a move into Abbey, I don't think. But I think this battle is going to be on for the rest of the race. So we can see Zhang in 14th position, making up a position, actually no, losing a position to So in front of him. He lost 13th position, and he's under attack from Pratima behind as well. As they come towards Abbey Curve. He's going to look towards the inside. No, he's not. He's just too far back this time by. This is a nice battle evolving for 12th position with Aramet in front. And at the back, it's Pratima with a nice four-way battle for 12th position.
Yep, of course, Zhang rocking his beautiful Hatsune Miku paint scheme on his Porsche GT4. He is coming under a lot of pressure from Pratama, and it is Pratama going along the inside. He kind of goes a bit too wide through this corner, and he seats P14 to Pratama. Of course, this four-way battle pack is led by Aramnit, who is currently sitting up in front in P12. He is already forming his own little bit of a breakaway, which leaves So heading the charge of affairs of this three-way battle pack.
Yeah, definitely. And Stanley's caught up to just 0.2 behind Oliveira at the front. You can see just about a car's width or a car's length between them as they come out of Chapel and down towards Stowe on the hanger straight underneath the bridge. And he is much closer this time by. Is he going to have a look towards Stowe corner? Yes, he is. Oliveira is a little bit defensive, moves over a bit to the right. He's not close enough just yet, but he is. He's going to get to the inside. Oliveira's exit is not that great. They're going to go side by side in towards club corner now, with Oliveira holding the inside line. That's going to give him a nice advantage in towards club corner. And Stanley's not able to get the cut back just yet. Is he going to be able to make a move down this straight in towards Abbey? You can see just how close he is to be right on board with Oliveira, looking back at Stanley. And he's going to get all of that slipstream, and he's going to move towards the inside for Abbey corner, hard on the brakes. Oh, and it looks like he's just about got it. This Oliveira holds it around the outside, which is going to become the inside for the next corner. And still side by side. They've been side by side for almost half a lap now, as Stanley's going to have the inside line as they come towards Brooklands, and Stanley looks like he's made that move stick. Oliveira is not going to be able to hold it around the outside of Brooklands, surely. No, he's not. He's going to have to drop back into second place. But finally, we can see someone challenging Oliveira for the win, as we are 4 laps or 7-8 minutes into this race. Still a long time left, and there might need to be some fuel saving as well, like we saw at Road America, or maybe even a pit stop. But Stanley with a 4/10 lead over Oliveira. It's the start of lap 5.
Because we have a new race leader, Ferry Stanley. He has of course given Oliveira a run for his money, but we would also hopefully observe Oliveira trying to retake his race lead. Of course, there is a gap between P3 and P4. That gap stands at around 3 seconds. And of course, it is Eric Wong in third at this point. Armando Resam in fourth, and he leads Ryan Lam and Calix Poon, these two drivers from Hong Kong, and also Kevin Huang, who sits in P7 at the end of this 4-way battle pack.
Yeah, and the two drivers, Stanley and Oliveira, battling at the front, has allowed Wong to catch up that gap that was forming in the first few laps. Going side by side has slowed them down considerably, and that gap is now less than a second, with about 8/10 between Wong and Oliveira. Wong sitting comfortably in third place with about 2.5 seconds between him and Nurazam, you can see here. And he is latching himself onto this train at the front of the grid. Oliveira is dropping back slightly from Stanley, so I just wonder if Silverstone might not be his track, because we're so used to seeing him at the front of the field in this series.
Of course, we do look at the comparison between the sector and lap timings of between Oliveira and Wong. Of course, Oliveira does have the pace advantage, which enables him to hold on to P2 ahead of Eric Wong at this point. I have a look back at Saiful Arifin as he tries to put some pressure on Leong Wai In, who sits in P8 just ahead of him. They come upon Woodcote, and this is the final corner before they begin the next lap. Of course, making good use of the inner ballers. They're not cutting it in order to avoid the slowdown penalty. They go light on the brakes as they make their way around Corps, and their gap sits at just 5/10 of a second.
As we had a couple of connection issues maybe with Arifin. Hopefully that's not too bad for him and he doesn't disconnect from the race. That would be a not great situation for the driver. He's sitting nicely in 9th position, and like you said, battling for 8th position, about half a second behind. Oliveira has lost out a lot of time to Stanley. He's about a second behind him at the front, and Nurazam and Lam have managed to lose Pong and Huang, the Hong Kong and Taiwanese drivers. They've managed to build up a little bit of a gap. Lam sitting in 5th position. Looking further down the field, we've got Daladoni in 10th position. And we've also got this battle here, which looks like it's for 15th position. Sanchez and Zhang, as they head through, I think that's Stowe corner towards club. And it looks like Sanchez has maybe just picked up a position there for 15th position. He's going to start increasing that gap to Zhang. He takes 15th position. He's going to look ahead to that 3-car battle in front of him. Aaron Met leading So and Pratama. That's going to be an interesting one to watch as well. Just 3:10 separating all 3 drivers. And Sanchez is going to try and latch onto the back of that one, making use of their battling to try and improve.
Of course, at this point, Dane, I think when you're within a battle as Aramnitso and Pratama are in, look at Pratama going for the inside, all around goes. What would look to be Andy. So it is unfortunate that he's gone around and he drops down to P70. We have a look at the replay here from on board Andy. So he goes around this corner. At this point, he would be sitting behind the pink car, and it was just a lunge down the inside which sent him around this corner.
Yeah, there was definitely some contact there to be right on board with him. You can see the driver behind just looking down the inside, and there's the lunge, and there's the contact that sends him around. The other drivers did pretty well to avoid him. He kind of rejoined the track right onto the apex of Brooklands, which maybe it wasn't the best idea, but he cycled all the way down to 17th position. And that's definitely unfortunate for him. I think he might have taken a pit stop and a fast repair. We'll have to see, because I don't think would have dropped down too far. But Norizam in 4th position here. He's under a bit of threat from Ryan Lamb in 5th as they head towards Club Corner, and he's going to maybe try and move into Abbey. He's very close to the back of Norizam, battle for 4th position. You can see Norizam on the bottom of the screen losing out to Wong every single sector. Obviously looking in his mirrors, trying to defend. As we can see the battle just behind them, Hwang and Poon, as they go side by side in towards Abbey, and now again as they come onto the farm straight. And it looks like a massive lunge from Poon to get him up into 6th position.
Because both Poon and Huang going at it hard. They are at, of course, the final few corners at this point. Of course, this is where some overtaking moves would be best happen. I come upon the final corner again, and this is going to now be full throttle. Kevin Huang is still behind Poon, but is he going to be able to take advantage of the slipstream as they come upon this section? Of course, after this stretch, it is going to be the right-hander corps, which is not exactly a slow corner, neither is it fast, or rather it's quite a high-speed corner, as we just see here. Of course, gap between Poon and Huang sit at 0.3 of a second. So a few more corners before perhaps Huang manages to close up the gap.
In Cop's corners, a lot of these corners are. The runoff is very lenient on track limits. You can use quite a lot of it, but if you get onto the AstroTurf, that is spin territory, you definitely don't want to be doing that. Very low grip on the AstroTurf. You can see now Wang right on the back of Poon, just about a 10th in it, and he's going to be right on the back as they come down the hanger straight, as is Norizam on Lang just ahead of them. But we're going to focus on this one for now. Poon has just managed to stay ahead as they come in towards Stowe Corner. Looks like Wang is going to try and get the cut back, but it's not going to work this time by as they come towards Club. And the gap is now about half a second between the drivers. As you can see the battle just in front of them on your screen. Lam and Norizam as well. Similar thing happened with them. Lam managed to hold off Norizam into Stowe Corner, and there's not a move on for Norizam now. He's way too far back, about half a second as well. So two battles here for 4th and 6th. They carry on, it might become one continuous train. You've also got the battle for 8th and 9th behind them as well. As we can see, a lot of drivers all in close proximity here. I believe one of them is a lap driver. So we can see Sanchez here with Aramet just in front of him. So Aramet's made a move for 12th position, but Sanchez is going to come right back. He's going to go around the outside into Priory Bend. And they're very close to making contact, but he's managed to get that position back. And there's a fantastic move around the outside for Sanchez, but here we can see Pratama as well trying to get past, and Gandor out of nowhere joins on to the back of this train. He's managed to get past Aramet as well. So in the space of 2 corners, Aramet has lost 3 positions. What
an exciting battle unfolding at this part of the grid. This is a middle section of the grid. We are looking at positions 12 through to 15th. Of course, a little bit of a connection issue flashing goes Pratama in front. We ride on board Jamal Gandour as we get a good perspective of perhaps the two cars in front of him, Pratama and Sanchez. He is closing the gap with Pratama at this point. Oh, a little bit unstable again! Would this be a repeat of lap 1? Fortunately, not. He managed to rescue his car, although at the expense of one position lost, which has just happened. Aramid retakes position 14th.
That was fantastic control from Gandour to not only save the slide, but also to keep it out of the wall on exit there. So close to hitting the wall there. That would have been race over for sure. That would have been a very hard contact. As we can see now, he's going to try and get that position back. Got a better exit out of Chapel. And more hard on the defensive to the inside. He's not getting him through there. He's going to try and get the cut back through Stowe maybe. So we can see that's exactly what he's trying to do. Get the better exit and maybe get a move into club corner. He's very close. Just about 1.5 tenths in it now. Aaron Moore once again hard on the defensive. He's taking that inside line. Gandour's going to have to go the long way around if he wants to get past him. So we can see they're coming through club, almost touching as they come down towards Abbey Corner. Similar to NASCAR bump drafting this is. So we can see Gandour moving towards the outside once again. He's not going to get the easy inside overtake. But if he can hold it around the outside here, he's not. He's going to try and get a good exit again as they come towards the farm straight. Oh, and there's more contact, and Gandour's hard into the wall. He's lost his...
Oh, this was so unfortunate.
Oh. I think Aaron Mitz just squeezed him a bit too much there. As you can see the onboard from Andy So in front. You can see the mirror just on the ground there, and Gandour hard into the barriers. That's a big hit. I think he's definitely going to have some steering difficulties after that one.
Most certainly he's going to have to send his car. He's most likely going to have to send his car back to the pits for repair. We return to live pictures, and this is Ferry Stanley, your current race leader. He's built himself such a huge gap ahead of Leonardo Oliveira, a gap of 2.8 seconds. Because if you have a look at the gap, the difference in gap, you do see that it is an increment from 4 laps ago to this point. It is a gap that is increasing.
Yeah, definitely you can see on the bottom right hand side of the screen the gap, how it's increased from lap 4 to lap 9 in the past 5 laps, and that gap is only increasing between Stanley and Oliveira behind him. And Oliveira is going to start to look in his mirrors maybe a little bit. The gap to Wong is only 3 seconds as well. We can see him, Macau Sim Racing team driver in the 33 car. He's not too used to this. He's used to being at the front, not in second position. And looks like Stanley is the faster driver here today, taking all of that exit curb, of the entry curb even, in towards Brooklands.
Yeah, currently sitting in second. I bet perhaps what's going on in his mind is, of course, he is going to be focused on trying to close that gap that is kind of becoming a little bit further and further with each passing lap. Now we look further back at Ahmad Norazam. He sits in P5 and he is still behind Ryan Lam. Of course, Ahmad Norazam began from P4, so this is a loss of 1 position from where he started from. We ride on board him as they now take the first corner of Cops. Of course, a good apexing there, good exit. And the gap between himself and Lam sit at 0.5 of a second.
You can see him coming through Maggots and Beckett's now, how much he's cutting these curbs, which you can afford to do. They're pretty forgiving as long as it's not the grass or the AstroTurf. This corner here, Chapel, you can very easily get a cut track and then slow down for that one. But he looks like he's got a fairly good exit out of Chapel. He's going to use the slipstream of Lamb to try and close in that gap just a little bit. Hard on the brakes in the early stages of Stowe corner. He's right up to the back of Lamb. Lamb's not had the best entry into Stowe at all. They come towards club corner now. He's still very close to that number 7 car in front of him, but he's not close enough to make a move just yet. And I don't think he's got the exit that he would have wanted either to try and make a move into Abbey. That gap is increasing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Of course, at this point, the gap is still hovering around 0.5 of a second. They come upon, of course, this is a bridge, the Abbey and bridge section. Of course, they are going. Nope, he lifts a little bit, not flat out through this corner. which would have otherwise possibly been so, if the tires are warmed up properly.
Yeah, in the early stages of the race when the tyres are not as worn as they would be on lap 12 of this race as we near the halfway point. Yeah, there's a flat for a couple of laps, but then as the tyres wear, you're going to have to start to lift and watch the wheel spin as they come past the final corner of Woodcote and towards Copse once again for the 12th time in this race. You can see that gap just being closed in a little bit on that last lap by Nurazam.
So of course at this point it would appear that the drivers all throughout the field, the gaps have become a little bit more sparse. Of course, I just said that this is Andy So and out Aramnit going at it for position. It does look like Aramnit has gone making full use of the grass along the exit, but this means that he is currently in P15 and 14th will go to Andy So. Of course, Zhang Tiantian in 16th, he is not far behind at all, and he does have a lot of time to kind of close up this gap.
Yeah, definitely, and that's allowed Zhang to try and close up the gap just a little bit as they come around the very long Beckett's corner towards Chapel. As they come down the hanger straight now, we can see just a bit further up, we've got Cassidus in 13th position, trying to make a move on Pratama as they go through Stowe corner towards Club. Not close enough to make a move just yet, but almost touching on the apex there. Really close driving between these two. So they're going to go down towards Abbey corner, and it's very close. And it's Cassidus, and she's going to try and go for the outside line, but it's not doing just yet, and having to brake really hard to avoid Pratimo's not got the corner speed to match as he comes around towards Priory Bend now and in towards Brooklands. Managed to build up that gap slightly. It's about half a second now. You can see that gap diminished straight away as they come through Brooklands. And I think this is going to be a battle to watch into Copse corner maybe, depending on their exits.
Tukulano taking a little bit of a slightly wider exit than Pratama, so of course this would cede the advantage to Pratama by just a little bit. The gap he has ahead of Tukulano would be 4/10 at this very point as they come around Copse once again. They are going to go full throttle into Beckett's and Maggots right in front of them, so it will be interesting to see how this gap will kind of close up or open up through these corners.
Yeah, definitely, it's a really tricky braking zone. You want to be braking for Maggots on the entry, which is inside a left-hand kink. It's very difficult to get the braking right for it, but it's very important so you can get a good line through Beckett's and through Chapel as well. But Jim Cunanan trying to make the move around the outside and towards Stowe. It's not going to be on just yet, but can you get a better entry in towards Club and maybe make a move in towards there? I think they will be as Pratama takes the inside line. Very close into the braking zone once again between these two drivers. But it's not happening this time by. Maybe into Abbey we'll see a move. As we can see, Pratama not getting the best exit out of Club corner, and they're going to be almost side by side in towards Abbey once again. Pratama closing the door, saying not this time as they come through Abbey corner and onto the farm straight, which is barely a straight. It's more of a link up between two corners. You can see Alessandro Dalladone has plenty of teams in with the Thai flag, even though, as Marco Barbanero would say, he is Italian. He's recently joined us on Apex Racing TV as a commentator as well, so we hope to see him on a couple of broadcasts in the near future as well. He's sitting in 10th position as they come towards Maggot. Let's see how he does.
course, a good friend of Marco's. He is currently sitting in P10, as you just said. His gap behind White In sits at just 1 second, rather 9/10 of a second. So of course, he is having quite a good battle at this point. He started from position 13th. So of course, he is 3 positions ahead from where he began from. Now it comes upon Stowe Corner. This is quite a long decreasing radius right-hander. Gets a good exit through this one. Of course, it is rather easy to run wide along that exit. They come upon the braking zone again, and this is where hopefully Alessandro would be able to close the gap. A little bit of a line mistake does White In right in front, so that would have caused his pace to go a little bit different. Of course, respecting the track boundaries at this point as they remain within the track limits. And now they come upon, Dana, I think this is your favorite section, Abbey Corner.
Yeah, definitely my favorite section of this circuit. It's so much fun, especially in these cars. It was a fixture on the week 13 calendar in the last season update when these cars first came out, and really loved racing through this section of the circuit. Really difficult as well. It's very bumpy with the old tarmac. And we can see that only just creeping up towards Leong to get that 9th position. About 7/10. He's caught up about 3/10 on that last lap, taking all of that exit curb out of Luffield, which you love to see. Avoiding those bollards through Woodcott, and towards the start of lap number 15, as Stanley's increased his gap to almost 5 seconds. As you can see, Tumkunanan finally making the move around the outside at Stowe. Katama just closing the door slightly on exit. Is she going to make a move down in towards Club Corner? So we can see that not happening straight away. They're going to get a cut back as they come towards Abbey Corner. It's a fantastic exit from Club Corner. You can see how much difference in the closing speeds. They're going to go side by side in towards Abbey Corner once again. You can see this replay here. Going to try and get a cut back through Abbey on towards the farm straight, as we saw a couple of laps ago. Not yet. I don't think the overtake was made at that time. Very close though. So I believe the system may have shown it as an overtake. He might have got in front of Pratama for just a moment, but this battle will continue as we've got just over 15 minutes left of this race.
I'm still in P4. Of course, now he's at the position where he began from, in position 4, and he is under some pressure from Brian Lam. He still leads this 4-way battle pack of Lam, Poon, and Huang in positions 5, 6, 7 behind them. So of course, okay, well, it is Lam closing in the gap with Norisam at this point.
Yeah, the gap is just about 3/10 of a second as they come to start what I believe is lap 17. No, it's not. It's lap 16. It's just about 3/10 as they come towards Copse Corner. If you can get a good enough exit out of Copse Corner, you can maybe make a move in towards Maggots and Beckett. That happened quite a few times in my races in week 13, but the driver's very equal paced here. As we can see Wong in the front of our picture, all on his own. But our focus is on Lam as he is almost touching the back of Norazam as they come through Beckett's towards Chapel. And they're going to come onto the hangar straight now, and just about 3 car lengths separating them as they head towards the hangar straight. If they're not careful, Poon and Wang are going to jump onto the back of this train about a second behind. But Lam is not going to be close enough to make a move into Stowe Corner this time by. And he's just going to bide his time. He's got 15 minutes left to make a move. I believe that's about 8 laps.
A little bit further back, Kevin Huang tried an attempt to make a move against Calix Poon there for P6. Of course, Huang still sits in 7th, keeping within the white lines through this corner. Yep, flashing lights there, making a move ahead of a back marker. That would appear to be Kalvinder Singh there. He's currently in P20. Oh, a bit of a bumper hit there. Of course, Kalvinder nearly became collected, but they kept it all clean there. And this sets Huang more than a second behind Poon.
Yeah, but this battle, but for 4th position with Norzam and Lam is still very much underway. As there are 14 minutes left of this race, I'd give it about 7 laps to go. And Sam's going to stick it to the inside as he gets a much better entry speed into the left field corner. And Norzam closes the door. They make a bit of contact. And Lam's going to have to try again later on in the race. He move was definitely on there. He's just stuck it into the gap that existed. To quote Ayrton Senna. As they come towards Magnussen Beckett now, you can see how close he is. It's very easy to focus on the back of the car in front of you. You really have to be looking at your braking markers for this section. No, it's very easy to make the same mistake as they do. As they come towards through Beckett's and Chapel. Towards the hangar straight. And looks like he's not got the best of exit speeds. And he's about half a second behind. That's not going to help his cause at all.
A long straight here. Lam using some of that slipstream as they prepare for the entry into a so-called long right-hander. Of course, it is. They keep it within the track limits here. Also, good exit. The gap between them is at 0.5 of a second as they go breaking down for club corner. Oh, good use of the inside curb. There goes Lam, and this is enough to kind of close the gap in just a little bit. But I think Lam might have gotten, or rather, Norzam might have gotten a slightly better exit through that corner.
Yeah, you can see how much that bump on the inside of the first apex of club really unsettled the car for Lam. Had to do quite a bit of correcting. It's a huge bump on the inside curb there. But he's dropping back slightly. He's not got the best line through Abbey at all. And he's dropped back to about 0.8, which is unfortunate for him, but he's quickly closing that gap back down. He clearly seems to be the faster driver. He just can't seem to find a way past. He can't really get any further than 5th position, but looks like Stanley is pitted and he's out of the race. Looks like maybe some connection issues has seen him disconnect from the race. We'll have to try and get a double check on that one, but Oliveira seems to have taken the lead. As we can see Stanley here. Oh, and there's some netcode contact there as he passes a lap driver through Abbey. It looks like Gandor there having a bit of a spin. And he's got some damage there. Let's see what happens. Is there any contact between them, or does he just pit? Or does he lose connection? We'll have to wait and see as he comes around the never-ending Brooklands corner. Actually, that's Luffield, I should say. And yeah, he just pits.
So of course he has disconnected from the server, so I would imagine that might have been due to some damage at some point. Alessandro Daledone still sitting in P8, or rather he sits in P8 and he is behind. We have a look at the replay, or rather we are live pictures at this point. We have a look at him still going at it behind Leong, who sits in P7. This is a move along his right hand side, a drag race almost, but Leong manages to edge Daledone out by just a bit as they come upon a club corner.
Yeah, you can see he's got a better exit as Daledone, as they both make use of that exit curb. He's right on the back of Long as they come down this fairly short straight section towards Abbey. He's going to hold back for the time being. As Long goes on the defensive, he's got a much better exit as Daledone as they come down towards the farm straight and in towards Priory Bend. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move. You can see just about a car's length between the drivers here. Daledone trying to find a way past. He might be able to find one into Luffield and Brooklands. You can see just how close he is riding on board with Long looking back at Daledone. So we can see them coming around the long Luffield corner. And Daladone's just got a bit of a worse exit, it seems, as they come through Woodcott towards the start-finish line to start lap 19 of this race. With 10 minutes left to go, Daledone is still hard on the back of Leong as they come through Cops Corner. Who's going to get the better exit? It looks like, oh, Long's gone wide onto the AstroTurf. That's very slippery. He has to make it to the grass as well. Daledone is going to just hold behind him. He maybe could have made a move in towards Maggots and Beckers, but he thinks the better of it. So they're going to run very close together through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. towards the hangar straight, and it looks like Long's just maybe got the better exit out of there. And Daladoni's going to have to wait. He's not close enough to make a move, and you can see the interval on the left-hand side of the screen just rising.
Absolutely, both Leong and Daladoni having such a fantastic race at this point, because they are still holding their position 7th and 8th respectively. Not much time left towards the end of the race, but plenty of time for moves to be made. We have a look at the replay between Andy So and Tum Kunanon. Obviously, possibly an overtaking attempt by Tum Kunanon along the inside. I think she's trying for the move along Woodcote corner before the main straight.
You can see it was Andy So that managed to get around and up into position. Then the 888 car, as we can see, about to come through Maggots and Beckett's. We can see them now live pictures in towards Club, and manages to get ahead into 11th position. We can see Ryan Lamb looks to have finally got past Norazam as well. He's up into 3rd position. Hopefully we can get a replay and see what happened there. The Hong Kong driver, you can see it was a lunge in towards Brooklands corner, and they're still side by side into the entry of Brooklands, but there is no way to hang it around the outside there, and he managed to make that move stick, which is good for him. We'll see if he can maybe make a little bit of a gap here.
Of course, gap between them still within 0.5 of a second. Live pictures once again. This is the rear bumper camera of Lam as we observe Norazam making use of the slipstream as they come upon hangar straight. They make slow corner. Of course, Norazam have making good use of the apex there as opposed to Lam.
They're going to come through Club now. Norazam is right on board with Lam. Norazam is not the best through Club corner. You can see Lam's got a slightly better exit, and he's instantly swerves towards the right-hand side as they come toward Abbey. Norazam a bit better on the brakes as they come in towards the farm straight towards Priory Bend. As Daladone and Leong still going at it for 7th place, but we can see Lam just holding off Norazam for the time being as they head in towards Brooklands for the 20th time as they look to start lap 21. Just over 5 minutes left of the race, and it looks like Oliveira is going to be able to take this one. He's got 8.5 second lead over Wong, so we can see him out of Cop's corner towards Maggots and Beckett's. Not really thinking he's going to win, but then all of a sudden Stanley gets that damage and he's out of the race, and that must have been a sight for sore eyes for Oliveira. He had no racing at all for this race, and he's managed to still come out on top so far with just about 5 minutes left of the race.
A stellar performance by Oliveira all night long. Of course, it was Ferry Stanley who had the race lead earlier on for most of this race. But of course, he did leave the race just moments ago, so Oliveira has the race lead. Of course, I think the only thing in his mind at this point would be to try to maintain that buffer gap, that huge buffer gap of 8 seconds in order to maintain his race position advantage. And it's all about trying to keep everything together as he tries to make the remaining 5 minutes of this race count.
Let's have a look at a replay of So getting turned by, it looks like, Pratima. Trying to make a move for, I think that would have been 10th position in towards Abbey, and he's come across Pratima. Pratima hard on the defensive, squeezing him, and looks like he's just turned in on Pratima, and Pratima's spun him around. We can find him board with the rear and see where he was. You can see how he spins around there. Let's have another look at this one. Coming in towards Abbey corner, and I think that's down to So. Pratima was hard on the inside curb. I don't think he had anywhere else to go unless he wanted to squeeze him right off the track, and his own doing down into 14th position from running in 11th.
This is Pratama and Kunano going at it once again as they come upon what would be Club Corner. Because these two drivers having great battling all race long. It is Tum Kunanon a lot try to make it work along the inside, but this is now a track race down this straight as they approach the entry into Club Corner. Hard on the brakes they go. Pratama leading Tum Kunanon into Club Corner. A little bit of stuttering there, connection issues possibly, and this is going to be exciting. He's going to perhaps take the right-handers. I'm sorry, that was not Club Corner. That was Abbey's as they come along Priory.
Yeah, running side by side through Priory's never ended well in my experience as they come towards Brooklands and Luffield. Pratama taking the inside line, and it looks like Tom Cunanan has made the move up the inside into Luffield, saw the gap and sent it. And he's going to move up into 10th position. Is the Thai drivers. We look back at Pratama and we can see, a big slide from the driver just behind. I think was Huang. And we can see Lam hard on the back of Nurazam. Looks like these two are battling for third once again. And Lam has just fallen back. Nurazam's got ahead. But a massive slide from Huang into Stoke Corner. He's done very well to save that one. The driver from Taiwan. So they're going to come towards Abbey Corner now. And Lam is just too far behind to make a move on Nurazam. Nurazam has got himself back up into third position.
Because they received some news on the fact that Pratama did, or rather, Ferry Stanley, he did lose, or rather, he did run out of fuel, which then led him to go into the pits before he disconnected from the server. So that was an unfortunate calculation of race strategy that happened. We have a look at Ryan Lau. He goes into the pits as well. That's unprecedented, and this is going to hand his fourth position to Kevin Huang.
Yeah, I saw this in the non-broadcast Road America round where there wasn't enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. Some drivers opting to save fuel, and some of them, quite a lot of us, having to pit for a splash and dash right at the end of the race. And I think we're seeing that with all these drivers here. Is Daladoni is going to move up into 7th position, and he's going to try and get up into 6th position, which would be a fantastic debut for the supposedly Thai Italian driver. So he's going to make a move in towards Maggotts and Beckett. Side by side they go, and Daladoni is going to drop back from that one. Very bold move as they come into what I think is the last lap of the race, which might explain the desperation. But he's got a fantastic exit out of Chapel, right all over the back of Leong. He's going to pull towards the inside of Stoke Corner that they're coming up to now. He's going to just pull ahead. It looks like he's going to be fully ahead before the braking zone. Yes, he is, as they're hard on the brakes in towards Stowe. But that line is going to compromise him slightly if Long can get a good exit, which he doesn't. So he's going to have the line into Club Corner as well. And if he can hold off Abbey, I'm not sure they're going to have enough time to make it to the end of the race. Of course, we'll have to find out where Olivier is. He's 20 seconds up the road, and it looks like he's going to have to pit. Oliviera from the lead of the race, pitting. And is he going to cross the line in time, or is this going to be the final lap of the race? We can ride on board with Wong. He's also going to pit.
So this could be the case of drivers playing their strategy where they go all, they save their pitting towards the final lap. Of course, that is also Ahmad Norisam, who's gone in for his fuel stop as well. So this would hand the provisional race lead to Kevin Huang at this point.
It looks like Oliviera just managed to pass across the start-finish line before the 45-minute time was up. I think he probably could have held up a little bit to win the race. I think that would have allowed him to take the timer all the way out. He had a big gap to Wong, but everyone seems to have pitted, and Daladoni's up into 4th position. Huang has taken the lead. Do they have enough fuel to last themselves to the end of the race? That's going to be the big question as they come through Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel. We're going to have to keep an eye on them to see if they're having to lift and coast into some of these corners. because Oliveira and Wong not managing to finish the race on their fuel tanks, and they've both dropped down 1 position. So Oliveira is still running in 2nd position, and Kevin Huang in 1st place in that 212 car. The Taiwanese driver for Eurasia Sim Sports comes towards Abby as we ride on board with him. He is lifting and coasting a lot. Is he making a massive risk trying to get to the end of the race? You could hear how much he was lifting and coasting in towards Abbey corner. He's got just about 2 corners left to go. So we can see him coming towards Brooklands. Will he make it? You can see how the gap between him and Oliveira has gone up. Oliveira is just about 4.5 seconds behind. As we can see him pass through Luffield. Is he going to have enough fuel to cross the line? I think he will. And Kevin Huang, down to strategy, has managed to win at Silverstone. A fantastic drive from him. Oliveira looks like he's going to come on. We can hear just as he crossed the line, as fuel ran out. That was fantastic timing from him. Eric Wong is going to take 3rd position. Diadone just behind him is going to take 4th. So fantastic strategy from them. Ryan Lamb in 6th position. Norazam just ahead in 5th. So we can see the rest of the drivers are going to cross the finish line in just a moment. We'll have to see if anyone runs out of fuel, which would be awful for them, because I did say at the start of this broadcast we saw there was a fuel limit in place and a lot of drivers had to make a splash and dash, and that seems to be what's happened here. So if Stanley ran out of fuel and quit the race, if he didn't quit, he might still have won this race.
Well, look, I think we did not see that coming at all. It was such an unprecedented win by Kevin Huang. Who knew that sudden turn of events would happen right towards there? We have a look at Calix Poon at this time, a relatively damaged car. He was fighting up front at around 4th or 5th position earlier on in the race, and he is currently sitting in P16th. So he comes upon the final few corners.
Oh, we can see some drivers running out of fuel at the end. We can see Stephen Bacardi, he's trying to weave. I'm not too sure if weaving helps, but I guess it does. Trying to use it like a slingshot to try and get himself up. We can see Singer also running out of fuel. Everyone's running out of fuel towards the end of the race. Is he crossing the line already? No, he's not. He's still gonna have to make his way to the line. You can see it just in front of him as Singer coming around Luffield corner now. This is a very weird end to the race. Everyone just trying to reach the end, but Bacardi has finished, and this is Singer, the last of our finishers, in 17th position. Chan, that was a very weird one.
Well, look, I think that was Stephen Bouquet putting his real-life racing experience into practice. Perhaps weaving the car would get the fuel kicking into the engine in some sports car races in North America tracks like Daytona Circuit of the Americas. That's where he has been to. This is why down here, at this part of circuit, yes, it was such an interesting race. Quite strange with the turn of events that happened right specifically at the last 5 minutes of the race. But otherwise, I think it was a fantastic show that everyone's put up for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. We saw some fantastic battling throughout that race, especially between Lam and Norazam. As we can see, this is the qualifying results. Hopefully we can get the race results up in just a moment's time for you. Here they are. We've got Kevin Huang in first position for Eurasia Sim Sports. He's 4.5 seconds ahead of Leonardo Oliveira, finishing in 2nd place. Not used to that. And we've got Eric Wong in 3rd position. Fantastic drive from him. Alessandro Dalladoni managing to hold off his fuel for the end of the race, putting him in 4th position. We've got Ahmad Nurazam and Ryan Lam in 5th and 6th. We've got Arifin in 7th, Sanchez in 8th, Leong in 9th, and Tianchan in 10th position. And we've got Aranmit, So Cassidus, we've got Fatima, Calix Spoon, Stephen Bacardi. We've got Singer and Gandor a lap down in 18th position. And the last of your drivers, we've got Kelvin De Singh. We've got Ferris Stanley not finishing the race, and Stanley Lee in 12th. Mark Lang and Zainal Hazim, I don't believe they started the race.
Oliver Stain, I do believe we do have some post-race interviews to come at this point. Because we do have Kevin Huang in the interview booth, so let's pull him up. Hi Kevin, welcome to the commentary booth. Congratulations on your what is kind of like an unprecedented win, of course, owing to the strategy. It completely turned the tables and handed the win to your favor. Now, Kevin, could you please share with us the race from your perspective, and also how the kind of the fuel strategy came into play? Because I think not every driver would have seen that coming. We've seen a lot of drivers, especially Leonardo and Eric, they made the pit moves right at one lap to go.
Hey guys, hey Wayhead. A long time no see. Do I sound okay?
Oh yeah, I guess a long time no see, man. I hope you're well. I hope you're holding up well, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I had no idea. This is the biggest surprise to me. For most of the race, I thought I was fighting for 5th place. I had no idea the other people were not fuel saving, because I was looking at my fuel computer and it said I only need to add 1.7 liters of fuel or something. So I was like, I could save that in like 3 laps. So I just I kept behind, I think, Calix Poon. I knew I was faster than him, but I couldn't get by. So I just kind of gave up a little bit, and then went fuel saving for 3 or 4 laps, and then the computer said I was fine. So I went for it again, but I couldn't believe it. I can't believe this is like the biggest surprise to me. I didn't plan on this. I didn't plan to do this. It was I didn't do any practice at all. So it's kind of nuts.
Well, look again. Huge congratulations to you. Yeah, I think nobody saw it coming, and I think it just happened to fall in your favor. Now I think next week we would go to. Crap, I cannot remember what track we go to next week. But what are your thoughts entering that racetrack? We go to Mid Ohio next week. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Mid Ohio, I'm pretty bad at that track. There's too much. It's highly technical, which really shows off my weakness. I'm more decent at the high speed corners. I do well only at the high speed tracks, and Mid Ohio's the corners are not fast enough for me to really show off. So expect me to lose very badly there.
No, sure thing. No, I would just like to hand you over to Dane if he'd have anything that he'd like to ask you.
It's very interesting to see how none of the other drivers managed to save enough fuel. Only it looks like Alessandro Dalladani managed to hold on enough fuel to the end. There was a fantastic job by you to be able to do that. Caught all of the leaders out, which you managed to take the win. It was a fantastic drive from yourself.
Yeah, thanks. I think I caught myself out. I had no idea. It's such a big surprise. Such an amazing surprise. I'm so happy. I'm over the moon right now.
Oh, that is great to hear. Sorry, Dave.
Well, thank you for joining us in the Apex Racing TV commentary box. The next broadcast round of the series is at Road Atlanta. Do you have any experience driving there?
I thought it was Mid Ohio.
The next broadcast, so that would be.
Oh, okay, sorry. Road Atlanta. No, I do pretty well there. It's more faster speed corners, I think. So I don't know, maybe podium. These guys, Leonardo and what's his name, Ferris Stanley. Oh, these guys are just different leagues. So if they wanted to fuel save, I think they'd kick my ass.
Yeah, it was a fantastic drive from yourself. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out to Mark for organizing everything and doing everything as usual, and Bruno for doing all the pain in the butt stuff of keeping score of everything. And thank Fuji for Fuji Sartono for doing my paints and being the team leader for us. I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you doing a good job next time, and we'll hopefully see you again in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks guys. See you guys later.
Thank you very much. All right, not sure if we have enough time for one more interview. I think we might be able to just squeeze Alessandro in for just a couple of moments time, if we can get him in here for just a second. Alessandro, how's it going?
Hello guys, doing fine. A bit surprised.
Yeah, obviously a lot of the drivers caught out by the fuel situation. You managed to get 4th position from that, so congratulations for that one. How was the race from your perspective? Be quick, we've only got a couple minutes left.
Interesting. I didn't expect to finish the race, honestly. I was crashing every lap during qualifying and practice, so just finishing the race was already a big victory for me. I didn't expect anywhere to go more than 10th place or stuff like that, but thankfully not a lot of people realized they were short on fuel.
Well, yeah, it really did seem to catch everyone out in the end. You managed to get into 4th position from that one, so congratulations. Are you going to be joining the series next week as well?
Yeah, I'll try my best for sure, because I really enjoyed this car, and even though it's a bit complicated with connection-wise, because we are completely from different places and our ping is a bit clashing, but I had a very, very fun battle so far today, so I'm definitely coming back.
That's great to hear. Hopefully you'll have a bit more competition in the next race as well. We usually get large grids in this series. I think the Nürburgring 24 hours is taken a couple of our drivers away. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box. Before we let you go, because we've got a couple seconds left of the broadcast, is there anyone you're going to give a shout out to?
Oh, not really. I'm just really, really happy for this series to be here on Apex Racing TV, showcasing a bit of this Asian market, let's say, where you don't have a lot of broadcast or races being on air. So this is very good for the series and for the sim racing in a part of the world which is not really showcased a lot on our channels and others.
That's great to hear as well. Thanks for joining us in the Apex Racing TV commentary box. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple more of our broadcasts in the near future. Obviously joining us as a commentator, but thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you very soon.
Cheers.
All right, Weihan, is there any final notes that you wanted to add before we wrap this up?
Well, yeah, I think it had been quite a brilliant season thus far. Of course, no, this season has seen quite a lot of thrills and spills alike at various points. But I think we are on a good track towards a finish towards finishing on a high. Of course, I would like to also mention that we are having a look at the car of the Macau Sim Racing team. Of course, we did come to learn of the fact that one of the Macau Sim Racing team members, Hugo Silva Jr., had unfortunately passed away last Saturday, and their team raced in honor of them in black paint scheme last week. So of course they return racing stronger as ever here at Silverstone today, and of course. We just like to convey our condolences to Hugo's loved ones as well as our friends at Macau Sim Racing Team. Now,
Well,
heading on
fantastic
to...
hear.
I'm sorry, Dave.
No worries, mate. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Next week is at Mid Ohio. We're not broadcasting that one, but we will be back in 2 weeks' time for the Sim Racers Asia GT4 series at Road Atlanta. And we'll hope to see you there. But for now, from Weihan, me, and Scott, right, terrible English, in the Apex Racing TV, we're going to say thank you for watching. Good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and happy racing.